Okay, 2 words about myself. Einar Landre. I work with the corporate IT function in Statoil and has, over the last, say, 1 or 2 years, been involved in the digitalization initiative. So in this talk, I just give a highlight of the journey we have been through over the last couple of years, how we approached it, some highlights from our roadmap, and what we have learned. The journey, the formal journey, began in February 2016. At that time, we presented a memo to the Corporate Executive Committee about the threats and opportunities that digitalization created. Of course, there has been work done before that, so it didn't come out of, say, nothing, but that was the first, say, formal decision on the journey. And it was stated that, yes, we go on, and the corporate IT was basically pointed at as the place to lead the whole thing. In October same year, we created a leadership program called Taking Statoil Beyond 2025 Digital. The intent with this was to basically educate a handful of senior leaders and leaders to come to basically be trained in what digitalization means. And the idea was to create these sort of sponsors that should help the company to advance the digital agenda. March this year, the results from the joint effort, we had the Go Digital program who did basically all the hard work on the ground, and the handful of high flyers who has been basically traveling the world from San Francisco to Australia, visiting automated mines, where did their part. And the main conclusion from that time was to create what's called the Digital Center of Excellence. And the Digital Center of Excellence was on paper operational in June. We are still working on recruitment for the center, and their main objective is to deliver on the digital roadmap. Basically, to do some projects, and I will come back to basically the frame of that towards the end of the talk. So this is basically the short journey we had. When we looked at what we did in the Go Digital program, so the first thing was to create for each business area and our corporate functions to identify, basically, to create a roadmap pointing at how we basically can use digital technology to basically do things we do in a better way and also do new things. We aim to basically to address how to make digital into the way we work, and of course create the needed capabilities and the platform that enabled us to pursue our digitalization journey. We also did some alignment with the strategy, so digital became part of our, say, company strategy. Of course, that is on a very, very high level, and it's one thing to decide that it's part of the strategy. It's a totally different thing to basically make things happen on the ground. And of course, we also wanted to explore options and competence beyond core business in our world. Okay, what do we need in addition to what we need to be an oil company. I think that is the part that we have done least around. So when we developed the roadmaps, we used the term lighthouse. I think the guy who came up with it, one of my colleagues, of course, it's the lighthouses gives you direction and it gives you an idea about where you are. So it's a very good analogy for what we wanted to do. And what we spent a lot of time on was to communicate that the lighthouse represented some sort of idealized future. That is, and not what it easily could be, that it ended up as an improvement program, that you would steer dead on it in blindness. So, but I think that we succeeded reasonably well in making that distinction. And what we and the benefit we had from doing this was that we had this, that we created a lot of, say, involvement among those who have the pains in their everyday life, work life. And what we also made sure was that basically people contributed to that all the digital initiatives basically contributed to the lighthouses. And of course, in such way that we were able to, or are able to, basically progress toward long-term benefits. Let's see, here we are. So the approach we had was in combination with the leadership program, the TS, taking Statoil beyond 2025 digital. We used this sort of that we presented on actions, or say the Go Digital, focused on basically the things that we can do to be a better or more competitive oil company. On the other side, we also wanted to look at the bigger picture and basically how to explore new business models. I think it's, to be honest, that number 3, that the disruptiveness has been toned down. Some might argue that is unfortunate, but on the other side, there is also a lot of things to do to basically to improve what we are already doing. So I think that, but at least we are aware of the balance, and of course, starting to talk about changed business models will impact how do you deal with suppliers, what should we do with our own staff versus what should we buy from vendors, how to collaborate with other oil companies in other, in other countries. It's a lot of, rather complicated questions to find answers to answer. So I'm humble and say that yes, I understand that's a tougher story to address. At the same time, let's go for the improving and of course transforming that addresses how we do things, where we have more or less control ourselves. So how does this then look? How does the process, when we try to sum up what we did, the whole story in one slide? And I think that the headlines here is that yes, we identified strategic challenges that was basically phrased as questions. What does it mean for our operations? What does it mean for collaboration with suppliers? What does it mean for etc., etc., etc.? So we tried to frame that one. We did so from the lighthouses that we first developed in each individual business area. So different business areas came up with from, some had 2 or 3, others had 5. We then tried to synthesize those into, say, something that was manageable. So that's the lighthouses. And and we also we did some clustering and categorization of the lighthouses. That helped us to sharpen the message. I think that's the key message there. We also did an assessment of the digital technologies that, of course, if you looked into that figure, you will see that on the left-hand side, you find data analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all the hype words that basically are thought of as the key thing to help us on the left side, and basically on the right-hand side, it's more the everyday things. So, but at least we try to match those and then shape this into the program. And in the middle, what we said is that yes, becoming a digital company, it has to do with our culture and how we do things, and also that we need to build this around a platform which was given the Statoil data and analytics platform, which I think still is a bit vague. And when we then looked at what are the areas that we basically talk about, it's one area we then settled on. Yes, we talk a lot about unmanned installations, because that is probably the key to, if you look into the Arctic, of course, there is, I think it's the only way is to address, is to basically reduce the need for staff on board platforms that are in the middle of nowhere. The other part was about company knowledge, how to make information available, the insights, the lessons we have learned over the years, more easily available for people. Number 4 was basically about, okay, when we develop new technologies, can we also monetize that technology in other ways than we have done till now? That is, of course, raises a lot of questions about what company you should be. Should you stick to the oil business as the oil business is known today, or should you do something else? So it's, but at least be aware of opportunities and have a more clear thinking about, okay, we should grab this or we should let it go. And of course, and the last area was around the supply chain and operations. We run as the dominant player on the Norwegian continental shelf. Of course, we saw that logistics, the supplies, all the ships that need to be moved, the people to be moved, all these things has huge, potential for improvement. So that's how we frame the discussion. So if we then look at the roadmap, we came out of basically the process that we've been through over the last, say, 1.5 or 2 years. And then we had the roadmap where we then identified it was originally 7 programs, but it was now distilled into 6. One area is then the digital safety, security, and sustainability. Of course, safety, security, cyber threats, all these things need to be in place one way or the other. There is enough, when you, of course, independent on where you are in the world, you need to protect yourself towards the hacking and all the evil forces that surrounds you. Number 2 has to do with understanding the subsurface, utilize subsurface data, the geology, geophysicists, area and to make that improved. Number 3 is about how we create the well delivery process, drilling, how to make that more automated, more streamlined, more efficient still, and also creating the wells that make the most money. I think it's no problem to be the best drilling company drilling dry wells in this world. But that's not much business, unless for those who sell you the drilling services. Number 4, called Field of the Future, that is much more how we do field development, the engineering efforts required, how to build also the unmanned, low-manned platforms, and what does that do with, and of course also shorten time from basically you find something till you have something on stream. I think that's a thing that, given how the world looks like, that to basically shorten the time from find to the to have it available for the market is important. Number 5 has to do with how we run our existing factories and fields, and of course to utilize the data we acquire through sensors and through the control systems, and to use those data in a much more efficient manner than we do today. Number 6, the last one, has to do with how we do the back office. Also, there is a lot of, say, accounting services, a lot of, say, basic back office work that can be done much more efficient by using more, say, automated softwares for that purpose. So that was the framework of what we've done. So if we look at what does it take, I think it's extremely important that the senior, in our case, that both the board and the corporate executive committee was basically embarking and supportive. They said, yes, we want this. You need to take this seriously. And of course, digitalization as such also comes with a huge amount of change and uncertainty, and also therefore need to be anchored at the appropriate level to go on. On the other side, we also see that to make people, to create the necessary ownership and involvement from the bottom of the workforce is also extremely important. It's much more easy if people are listened to, are taken serious, than the initiatives where we have tried to come with the answers and basically thread it down over their heads. It doesn't work as good as when you are able to mobilize the ideas to make sure that the good ideas from those who basically have the shoes on can be taken forward. And here the lighthouses helped us to basically create the direction. And of course, we choose to organize this sort of the Digital Center of Excellence, which reports to the Chief Operating Officer, who is sitting in the Corporate Executive Committee. And we have then created those 6 programs with the clear aims and deliveries over the next 2 to 3 years. And of course, we see that our existing IT systems are siloed. Data exists in functional silos. Some of them are old. We need to basically open up the data and free it from the source systems to be able to basically take out the advantage from the data, to combine data from the new purposes on a much more flexible way than we have been able to do till now. Yes, so I think that's the story.